look question number 3. We are doing transformation of the given graph. So graph is given for y equals x squared. And they highlighted the vertex and they want to see how the vertex is changing. So this is the equation of a vertex form where this 3 tells you the horizontal shifting of the point and 4 tells you the vertical shifting of the point. Positive 3 tells you the shifting will be towards the left side. If it is negative 3 here, then it will move towards the right side, 3 unit. Positive 4 tells the shifting upward vertically, 4 unit. If it is negative 4, then it will tell the shifting downward by 4 unit. So this tells us horizontal shifting that will move 3 unit to the left. And then this tells you the vertical shifting of the vertex, which will be 4 unit up, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the new vertex after transforming will be this one, and the graph will shift to here, the vertex. That's what is this question. Let's look at next one, question number 4. For each graph, select all symmetries that apply. So for first one, graph 1, we can see it has origin symmetry because this point, if I say this point is -2, -1. And if you look at this point here, this point is +2, 1. So the sign is just changed with the value. So that means this has the origin symmetry. Then if you look at this side, you can see that has y-axis symmetry. And if you look at this side, you can see it has x-axis symmetry also. If we look at graph 2, we can see that we have origin symmetry, but there is no y-axis symmetry or x-axis symmetry. So only answer for this one is origin symmetry. If we look at graph 3, it has y-axis symmetry, you can see that, but no x-axis symmetry or the origin symmetry here. So pretty easy, question number 4. Question number 5. Determine the intervals on which the function is strictly increasing. Strictly increasing function looks like this. So if we look at this function, no increasing, no decreasing. So function is constant here, decreasing in this interval, constant in this interval, decreasing in this interval. So nowhere we can see increasing in this given graph. So the answer will be just none for this. But if it says, in case, let's say the question is decreasing, then it will be interval from -4 up to -1, it is decreasing. Again, from 3 to up to 5, it is increasing. That's how you will answer this question. Let's look at question number 6. Suppose that the function f, g, and g are given as follows. You are doing addition of these two functions, division of this function, if you are dividing f by g. So now let's look at the addition. So f plus g is nothing but 4x minus 3 plus square root of x plus 4. They didn't ask to simplify or anything, so you can just say this is the answer. So you are just adding F and G. That's what is the answer. The next one is division. I'm coming domain later on. If you are dividing by the function G. So numerator is F. So 4x minus 3. You are dividing this by square root of x plus 4. Now come to the domain. If you look at the function of function f, the domain is negative infinity to infinity. And if you look at the function g, the domain is x plus 4 is given under the radical sign, square root sign. So if it is an even root, like a square root, fourth root, sixth root, we know the number has to be that under the even radical, it has to be positive. So it has to be greater or equal to 0 if it is in the numerator. If it is in the denominator, then only greater than 0. So if we solve this inequality, subtracting 4 both sides, we get x is bigger or equal to negative 4. Now, let's find the common domain of this one. So if we draw the number line here, my pen is disturbing, so let me draw here. Forget it. Let's draw here. So if this is the x-axis, all the way left side is negative infinity, right side is positive infinity. Somewhere we have the negative 4 here because that's the restriction. And we say that it has to be bigger or equal to. If it can be equal to, then it will be bracket. If it cannot be equal to, then it will be parenthesis. And infinity is parenthesis. So, and it says greater than, that means we are looking for the right side of it. So if we look for domain of f plus g, the domain will be a bracket. As I said, this side, for some reason I cannot write, so I'm writing here the domain. So it will be bracket negative 4, comma, infinity. That's what is domain for addition, the f plus g. But for f divided by g, since our radical in the denominator, we know it cannot be equal to. So it has to be x is greater than 4 only. So if this is number line, for this domain, this is negative infinity, this is infinity, and if negative 4 is here, it says greater than negative 4, that means it will be parenthesis here. So the domain for this one will be parenthesis negative 4, comma, infinity. So you can see the difference and why it differs, because it is in the denominator, so we cannot include the equal sign here. That's why it is parenthesis and this one is bracket. Question number 7. For the real valued function, f of x is 4x minus 5 and g of x is a square root of x plus 5. Find the composition, f composition g, specify its domain using interval notation. So we are doing composition of two functions and we are doing f composition g means f of g of x. So for the composition, the input function is this one. So we have to check the domain of the input function. The input function is a square root of x plus 5. We know whatever under the square root has to be positive. So we have x plus 5 given for the smiley face, and that has to be greater or equal to 0. Now, if we subtract 5 both sides, then we get x is bigger or equal to negative 5. That means before we started this question, we already got a restriction that x has to be bigger or equal to negative 5. Now let's find the function. So composition function, we are doing f composition g of x. So we will just replace the g of x, and g of x is x plus square root of x plus 5. So we are evaluating the function f when the x is replaced for square root of x plus 5. So this x will be replaced for square root of x plus 5, and there is a negative 5. So 4x minus 5 was the function f, and the x is replaced by this. Now let's look if anything changed in the domain, because we didn't get any other additional restriction here. So whatever restriction we got from input function, that is our restriction. So if we draw it all the way negative infinity, right side is positive infinity, and somewhere it is negative 5. And x has to be bigger or equal to, equal is included, so it will be bracket negative 5 to infinity. So the answer for the domain will be bracket negative 5 comma infinity. That will be domain, and the answer for composition will be this one. Great. Now let's see question number 8 in the quiz. Answer the question below about the quadratic function. So there is a quadratic function given in standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c form. So a is given as negative 3. B is given as, this is A, B is given as 30, and C is negative 72. Does this function have minimum or maximum value? If A is negative, parabola looks like this. Therefore, the vertex has maximum. So for this one, it will be maximum value. But if your function a is positive, then the parabola will be opening upward. Therefore, the vertex will be minimum. So either way it will be. Where does the minimum or maximum value occurs? So at x equals what will be the maximum for our function, because our function we know maximum is there. So we are looking for x value of the vertex. X value of the vertex is negative b over 2a. And b is given as 30. So negative 30 divided by 2 times a is negative 3. So we have negative 30 divided by negative 6, which is positive 5. So the answer will be, for this one, is 5. X equals 5, we will have maximum of this function. So now they're asking what will be the function value. That means they're asking you g of 5, because we know at x equals 5, it is the maximum. It has the maximum. So then you are just taking your calculator and replacing the x for 5, and that's what you are calculating. So negative 3 times 5 squared plus 30 times 5 minus 72. If you solve this, the answer you will see you are getting 3. So the answer for this one will be 3.